Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem HaKodesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, or the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as they are the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Yakalio, and this video is about free will, and that free will doesn't exist. You have some false doctrines out there that are taught that everything that you do is of your own will, and this whole idea and doctrine of the do as thou wilt, which feeds into that kind of spirit of lies and deception, the lies and deception of the doctrines telling people that the people themselves are in control of themselves and their reality and their life and their future, just everything with it. All right. There's no such thing as free will. We're all controlled by Yahweh Shemishai. And so, our hope is that Yahweh Shemishai has mercy upon us and guides our path towards righteousness, because we're not in control of anything. All right, it is all Yahweh Shemishai. And so in Ecclesiasticus chapter 18 and verse 1, it says, "He that liveth forever hath created all things in general. The Lord only is righteous, and there is none other but he, who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will, for he is the King of all, by his power dividing holy things among them from profane." So the scriptures plain and straight to the point. He that liveth forever created all things in general, right? Yahweh Shemishai has created all things. The Lord only is righteous, and there is none other but he, right? The Lord only is righteous. No matter the actions that the Lord takes, the Lord only is righteous, as the scriptures say. And there is none other but he, right? There are no other entities of, the Lord's magnitude, right? It is only Yahweh Shemishai, right? There are no false gods that are, worshipped in this world. Those things don't exist. All right, it is only Yahweh Shemishai, who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will. All things obey his will. All right, so Yahweh Shemishai is in full and absolute control, man. All things obey his will. So in Ecclesiasticus chapter 33, and I'll start at verse 10. "And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them he sanctified and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low, and turned out of their places," right? So regarding whatever it is that's going on with you and your life, it is the Lord who has done it. All right, whether it is that you're in a favorable position or an unfavorable position, it is all the doing of Yahweh Shemishai. "As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him to render to them as liketh him best," right? So the Lord, has created, and then we exist, and we are simply programmed however Yahweh Shemishai has programmed us. "Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another." All right, so the Lord is in full and absolute control. Once again, Ecclesiasticus chapter 33 and verse 13, "As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him to render to them as liketh him best." All right, so then in Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 1, it says, "The preparations of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord Yahweh," right? So Straight to the point, the preparations of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord Yahweh. So it is all the will of Yahweh Shemishai. All right. Me literally doing this video right now, it is by the will of Yahweh Shemishai. In Job chapter 33 and verse 15, it says, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, right? When men sleep, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction, right? So your instruction is sealed. Okay, so whatever it is, the actions that you take, the things that you do, it is all by way of Yahweh Shemishai that seals that instruction. All right, programs you, to do these things, whatever your actions are. All right. In Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 23, it says, O Lord Yahweh, I know that the way of man is not in himself, right? So you have the false doctrine out there that is talking about do as thou wilt, and it's all witchcraft and sorcery on the left hand side, right? That's what Aleister Crowley spirit, right? Where there is the whole self-worship, and then there are other things that come behind it with the whole YOLO thing as well, where they talk about you only live once. So since they're telling you only live once, to just live it up and do whatever it is that you want to do, which really is a doctrine that is about fulfilling the desires of the flesh. It is all about being carnal. It's all about tapping into those desires, right? On the left hand side, and then when you feed into the flesh, right, you sin. Okay, so that is what is taught in this world. That is the dominant spirit of this world, because the people that are in rulership are the wicked, who are these Edomites, these so-called white people. So it is them that have been pushing this kind of these kinds of doctrines out into the world. All right, and the scriptures say it, man, that I'll come back to this in Psalms 73. And verse 9, it says, they set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. So they set their mouth against the heavens. They set their mouth against Yahweh Shemishai. They set their mouth against the ways of Yahweh Shemishai, the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai, right? So anything that they promote only wickedness. Okay, that's what they're about. So they obviously teach false doctrine and incorrect doctrine to the world, or doctrines rather. And one of them is this whole, you are in full and absolute control of yourself, and there is this idea of free will and all that stuff. No, the scriptures prove otherwise. So going back to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 23, O Lord Yahweh, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps, right? It is not of man, it is not of us. It is by way of Yahweh Shemishai. Then it says, O Lord Yahweh, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing, right? So we hope that the Lord has mercy upon us, right? Knowing that we don't have free will, we hope that, the Lord has mercy on us and, guides us along a path of righteousness. So those of us that are in this truth, that are of the hopeful elect, we pray and hope that, our spirit dwells with Yahweh Shemishai, you know what I mean? And that also our walk is, righteous, even though we do know we're going to go off, but then we pray for mercy, right? The Lord's Prayer, lead us not into temptation, right? So this is what is at hand, man, right? At the core of it is turning to our power and, asking our power for mercy, So that is what it is. There's no such thing as free will, and we are all guided by way of Yahweh Shemishai. And your hope should be, as my hope is, that, when the instruction is sealeth, that it is along the correct path, right? The path towards salvation. With that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, Bashim Kodesh. Shalom.